All right, welcome to this week's Points and Miles report here on Traveling on Everyday Spend. Of course, we got a lot to talk about. I won't necessarily bury the lead of we've got to talk about Chase, and we got to talk about that Sapphire Reserve and the Sapphire business, and some thoughts that I have on that. Some we'll call it educated guesses, and be curious of your thoughts on my thoughts of about it, and like to hear yours as well. And we've got different things to cover on a few different items. So we will go ahead and get started and not even waste any of your time. So as far as the credit card off welcome bonus offers, we did have a new group that got added in. We have the Hilton Honors cards. So we have the no annual fee Hilton Honors card with 100,000 bonus points and a $100 statement credit for $2,000 in spend in the first 6 months. Now, all of these are going to be good through August 13th, so there is plenty of time to figure out what may or may not work for you. And I have a video that I did on the Hilton cards. I'll make sure I have that in the description. And then we have the Hilton Honors Surpass card at $150 annual fee, waived in the first year, with 130,000 bonus points, $3,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. And then the Hilton Honors Aspire, of course, $550 annual fee with 175,000 bonus points for $6,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. We also have the business card, also has a elevated bonus. That one is $195 annual fee, 150,000 point bonus for $8,000 worth of spend in the first 6 months. Plus, you can get an additional 25,000 bonus points for an additional $2,000 worth of spend in those first 6 months. So, kind of a deal that we saw probably similar to this, maybe last quarter, maybe about 3 months ago. So if you didn't get something there, or you may be looking to add on to your collection, this would be a good time, but there is plenty of time to figure out what works for you. And then, of course, we had the Delta Sky Miles cards all pop up last week. And so that is for both the personal and business side of those. We have until July 16th for those on all of those cards. And so those will still be available. I did review on those cards as well. I'll have that in a link in the description. And then we have a change on the Alaska Airline Visa Signature card. So now we've seen it go from some bonus miles to a companion fare to a 30% discount on a future flight, qualifying flight. Now what we have is 50,000 bonus miles plus the Alaska Famous companion fare, but it does not, but you don't have to pay the $99 charge. It's just the taxes and fees only, which start off in the low 20s, $23, $24. So taxes and fees only, that's for $3,000 worth of spend in the first 90 days of the account opening. So this is better than what we had last time. So if you are interested in the Alaska Airlines credit card, this would be kind of a window to at least consider it. I did a review on that card and just put that out today, I think. So I'll have a link for that in the description. We still have the Alaska Airlines Business Visa credit card, and that one is still at 60,000 bonus miles plus the companion fare for $4,000 to spend in the first 90 days. I'm still surprised that one is still open. So if you are more looking at this on the business side, this is a card that you should at least consider and probably won't be up much longer. And then another card that I'm surprised that Bank of America still has is the Air France KLM World Elite MasterCard. It still has these 70,000 bonus miles with the 40 experience points for $3,000 worth of spend in the first 90 days. And then upon approval of the card, you get an additional 60 experience points, and those two together of 100 points will get you silver status with Air France KLM. Now, that offer is not on the Bank of America website. It is on Air France KLM's website. I'll have a link for that in the description. Then we have a couple of news items with the Capital One credit cards. Spark Cash Card with the $95 annual fee, and it is waived in the first year. $1,500 bonus cash after spending $15,000 in the first 3 months. And then on the complete opposite side, we have the Student Quicksilver and the Saver One credit cards. Now, these cards normally have no annual fee, and it normally comes with a $50 bonus cash after spending $300 in the first 3 months. They've now doubled that to $100 bonus cash after spending $300 in the first 3 months. So it's a great return on investment if you are a student or you have a student that you're taking care of, that this may be that kind of decent starter card to consider. And then for cardless, I'll touch on the Qatar Airways because that is slated to end June 16th. So before we get together again. So we have the signature card at the $99 annual fee, two-piece, two-part welcome bonus, 20,000 avios with just your first transaction. All right. Do we have audio back yet? Or do we still not have audio? Cannot believe this. Okay. Thank you all so much. And thank you all for your patience. Streamyard just crashed on me. Apologize for that. But I really appreciate y'all sticking in with me for that. So let's pick back up where we left off then. Let's get back to here. And let's go to here. Okay. Thank you all for your patience on that. So the Qatar Airways cards, June 16th is the end date for that program. And you have the Infinite at $499 annual fee. Of course, what you're getting with that Infinite at that $500 fee is that you're going to get gold status with Qatar, which is also going to get you the Oneworld status, which is going to get you business class lounge access for a year. Now, of course, you got to be able to do have the right spend in flights on it to continue it, but that's the difference in the pricing. We still have the Chase Aeroplan card at the elevated 70,000 points. IHG Premier at 5 free nights with $5,000 worth of spend, each night at 60,000 points. This is just a built-in vacation. It's the same as I would say for the 5 nights on Marriott, that you just have a built-in vacation for this welcome bonus. And I actually have a video coming out for this this weekend to just kind of touch on a couple of opportunities that has. If you're not sure about the IHG card, you can still look at 120,000 points for the One Rewards Traveler no annual fee credit card at $2,000 in spend in the first 3 months. Marriott Bonvoy Bold, another no annual fee credit card, 60,000 points, and you'll get a free night award at 50,000 points for $2,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. We still have the group of the United cards with Chase. The one I will note for you as far as time frame is the United Quest card ends on June 22nd, while all of the other United ones end in July. So keep that in mind if you're interested in the Quest card for the PQP points as well as the points. Marriott Bonvoy Boundless, 5 free nights, 50,000 points each, with after $5,000 worth of spend, a $95 card with the annual free night award. I believe I just saw that John actually did a review of that card, so I throw that in there for you. Hyatt Business Card, this one ends June 30th, 60,000 points plus Explorer status through February 28th of 2026. Spend $7,000 in the first 3 months and you get the welcome bonus. And then the Wyndham credit cards are another one I'm shocked still has the elevated offers. If you're interested in Wyndham, the main thing for those are, I think, Vacasa, as far as being able to get almost kind of apartment style rooms where you're basically paying by the bedroom. And I think there may be something to be said about their all-inclusives. I've seen decent reviews for them. I've not been to one yet, but we'll talk about some other all-inclusives in a bit. And then, of course, Wells Fargo, we talked about the One Key credit cards that are there. And that's if you are not so much of a points player, but if you're a person that's more into Vrbo, hotels.com, would be the ones that you would look at for that. So, but that's what we're looking at for credit card offers. And once again, yep, just want to make sure everything is back and working again. Thank you again for y'all's patience on that. As far as transfer bonuses, not too much that we have going on, but we do have Virgin Atlantic ending on June 15th with Chase and Wyndham ending on June 15th with Citi. There'll be an interesting travel that I will talk about that if you were interested, that 25% bonus might be something that you might want to look at. We also have 30% on the Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia with Amex. And then we still have the Aeroplan one through July 17th for Aeroplan. And then if you're a card holder, you can get an additional 10% on the transfer bonus. So as I always talk about, there are so many points in miles opportunities, too many to try to go over all at one time. So I'm going to focus more on the ones that are new or ending soon, maybe before we get back together, so that you can be able to be aware of those. I did send out a notice to put a post out on my channel about two different sales that are ending today. One is JetBlue, that can be as low as $49 one way. And then I also did also pointed out Alaska Airlines as far as their summer sale, Tropical 20, I believe is the code. But I made sure to put that out for for everybody that deals with that sees my posts, so that you're aware of that those are both ending tonight. So let's start with Alaska. So Alaska came out with purchasing miles with up to a 70% bonus. There is a 150,000 cap per year unless you're an elite member, and then there is no cap. We don't normally talk about speculation of getting points if you don't have a plan to use them. 70% is one of the higher ones they've had recently. Now, that once again, that doesn't mean to go buy the Alaska Mile points. I will say that I am probably going to buy some, but my thought of being able to use it is that I've been using Alaska Miles a bit lately for in-country travel. I would have loved to be able to have it to be able to use to go to Taipei, but I couldn't get any good that 75,000 point deal with Starlux. Could not find one for when I wanted to go to Taipei. I think the Alaska Miles are the most, to me, it's like essentially the most valuable airline points. I think they have so many different uses, but that is there. There's plenty of time. There may be something you might want to top off, or there may be a plan you have as far as what some of their sweet spots, which there are a number of them. And then Avianca is currently having a flash sale up to 30%. It ends on June 15th. Now, the travel is through October 30th or November 30th, but I'm only seeing one route that is that November 30th date. And that is a route from Miami to Madrid with a connection through South America. Now, there are a total of 31 different routes that are part of this flash sale, and there is a bit of business class fares that are being offered as well. I will, of course, have a link for the landing page in the description for you to be able to look at the different opportunities for being able to do that if you're interested. And then we have purchasing points with Avianca up to 155%. And that is one that will end on June 14th. So that, I believe that is Saturday. 155% points sounds high, but it's not a groundbreaking number for Avianca. They have had numbers like that periodically. But once again, if there is a top off that you might be interested in or have a plan of how you would use Avianca miles, then this may be one that you might want to consider. And then we have let's move to Hyatt. Hyatt is a 20% discount on purchasing points. Now that ends July 21st, so there's a while away for that. Not their best discount for their points. I do love Hyatt points. I have bought them before for a particular stay that I knew I was going to get better than average value from. But 20% is not groundbreaking, but it's something to be aware of when it comes to them. And then there was a new Hyatt deal, and this is up to 16,000 bonus points. Registration's required. I'll, of course, have a link for that in the description. And this is specifically for eligible stays at the Hyatt Place, Hyatt House, and Hyatt Studios between June 10th and September 7th. Of course, it would end on September 7th. I'm actually staying in a Hyatt House or Hyatt Place for the creators trip that is that weekend But of course, it's after September 7th, so I cannot be able to take advantage of that. But the award nights, 3 nights equals 3,000 points, 5 nights equals 8,000 points, and 8 nights equals 16,000 points. Now, I put in here as far as a potential mattress run. And I only say that because I ended up doing mattress running when I was able to get globalist status on an abbreviated spin that was required of how many nights you needed to have. And I made hay out of category 1 Hyatt House, Hyatt Place. If you were trying to get to like the next level or to a milestone, this may be something that you might want to consider, because with 8 nights, if you were to be able to get the category 1 in an off-peak situation, you could be able to only be out 12,000 points based upon the 16,000 points coming back to you. So I only throw that out. That may be something for some people that are on the verge or really trying to make a big push to get to, let's say, globalist status. This would be one that if you've got something nearby, that might be worth for you to consider. And then we have Fairmont hotels with their endless summer sale, 25% off, 30% if you're members, which of course you need to be a member if you're going to do it. No cost. You don't leave 5% on the table. You got plenty of time to book that by September 15th. Fairmont falls under Accor Live Limitless for that. So that is something to keep in mind. And then we had talked about IHG Pick Your Points last week, I believe. Just make sure if you're looking at doing either the 2,000 points for every 2 nights or 8,000 points every 4 nights, just make sure that you really plot out how your nights are going to look during that qualifying period through August 31st so that you don't leave anything on the table. Then we have Marriott is going to be ending soon. This is their 15,000 points for stays in Greece and Portugal for that. So I'm sure that if people were considering it, you've already pulled the trigger on that. Southwest has a new deal as far as buying rapid reward points with up to a 50% discount. Ends July 22nd. 3,000 to 60,000 points will be at 50% at 1.5 cents per point. This is probably more of a top-off situation, but you might be able to find some deals where that works. But I just want to make sure to bring it to your attention for that. Virgin Atlantic, they now have a earn up to 70% bonus when purchasing their miles. Now, this will end June 23rd, and then after June 23rd, that 70% is going to drop down to 60% and then run through July 18th. Now, there will be a one-time transaction fee of $22 when you do those transfers. And if you potentially have your account out of the UK, it is a better value than the people here in the US, such as myself. So, for instance, if you bought the 200,000 points and then got the 140,000 points as the bonus for 340,000, it would cost you $4,082 in US dollars. That would be having you down to 1.2 cents per point, versus for the US based ones, it's going to be 5,022 for 1.48 cents per point. So just to make sure to show that that's distinguished between the two. And then let's look at moving to the quick notes. So before we go to the quick notes, make sure I'm back on everything. Yep, looks good there. So the quick notes are obviously just kind of to hit on a few things that I want to make sure that you all are aware of. First one is you can earn up to 3,000 total points through some airline shopping portals. You've got Southwest that runs through June 16th, and $100 in spend will get you 500 points, or spend $300 will get you 2,000 points. United, spend $200, get 500 miles, or $400 gets you 1,000 miles. That will end June 15th. So those are coming up this weekend. And then if you haven't been aware and have Chase credit cards, they have really done a really nice step of now you have the ability to shift your Chase credit limits online. no calls necessary. Now, they are just rolling this out, so not everybody is seeing it yet. Although there is a link that I haven't had the chance to use yet, and I haven't looked at my Chase account to see if I have the ability to do it. But this is a new feature that should make things a lot easier to be able to prepare yourself for if you need to be able to shift some dollar credit limit around, either for a large purchase that you might do. It might be a large run that you're trying to do for on a Hyatt business card to get status. It could be just to address utilization problems. So there are a few notes to keep in mind, though. One is that you're not going to be able to do no more than 3 credit limit moves every 30 days, which should be plenty. Cards less than 1 year old will not be eligible to have you shift credits, and they will be in $100 increments. Now, also, not all credit cards may be eligible, and that's because they're going to base it on various factors. How much credit you can transfer can come from your credit history, account age, balance. It's not a case where they're running your credit. It's just a matter of how they kind of have you slotted. I think it's probably going to be pretty open for most people, but I want to make you aware of that. And if you have already tried it, let me know in the notes or in the comments section if you're watching afterwards. And then we have JetBlue. Now they have restricting access to Mint through a couple partner programs, and this credit goes to 1 mile at a time. Qatar and Etihad no longer have access to be able to use their points to get to Mint. And there's also some reduced award availability overall. Now, this is mainly based upon the new deal that JetBlue did with United. So this was a bit expected, although a bit quicker than I think most people anticipated. And I think the other part of it is, from what I've read, because I didn't price it out ahead of time, is that one was a really good deal to be able to use those points to be able to fly on JetBlue Mint. And probably not a loophole, but a sweeter spot than they wanted it to be. So this was the perfect time for them to deal with 2 birds with 1 stone. So that we have that. And then we have Oman Air is going to be joining Oneworld at the end of this month, June 30th. And if you're not aware of Oman Air, Middle Eastern airline, it's a boutique airline because they really only have about 30 airplanes, but their highlight is their Apex Suites, which is their business class. And they fly out of Muscat. Very nice first class lounge there, although we don't know how much longer it's going to be open because of the fact that they have kind of done away with first class and just focused upon the international business class. Now, Qatar is actually a competitor of theirs, but they also are a member of Oneworld. Now, Alaska Airlines has had a relationship with them for quite a while, and you've been able to use points to deal with Oman that way. There was some question if Qatar would push to not let this happen, but it looks like everything worked out. So that is another partner to look at with Oneworld. If you are going to be in the Washington, D.C. area this weekend on Saturday, is dealing with Reagan Airport, DCA, there will be delays. They're going to have a parade celebrating the 250 years of the Army, and it also happens to be at the same time to somewhat celebrate the president's 79th birthday. So they are expecting significant disruptions because there will be flights as well as the parade that will go on there. And the disruptions are going to be between 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. So the last thing I saw was that there are 65 arrivals slated and 35 departures between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. that are going to be impacted. So just in case if you were going to be flying around that time and weren't aware of it, that's going to be an issue for you, so be aware. And then American Airlines miles are now going to be working with JetSmart. JetSmart is a Chilean-based airline that American Airlines actually owns 35% of the company or the organization. Now, AAdvantage members have been able to earn miles and loyalty points since last year, but now you can actually utilize them to fly on JetSmart. And this was something that was essentially needed because it was a strategic move, because They had a relationship with Latam in Central America, but that ended in 2019. And they started this relationship back in 2021. So this gave them still being able to have a place in Central America with essentially still a major brand that is there. So that is what we have for American Airlines. And then there is one other item. Silver Airways has ceased operations earlier this week. Now, they're a regional carrier serving Florida and the Caribbean. Now, they had filed Chapter 11 back in December, but hoping they were going to be able to kind of dig themselves out of things, but it did not work out. And so they were flying 52 daily flights to 16 destinations, with Fort Lauderdale and San Juan being a couple of their primary bases. But they are no longer in business. So if that was a airline or kind of I'll call it puddle jumper kind of thing that you were interested in or used them before, they are unfortunately no longer going to be involved in business. So let's move on to Hyatt Under Canvas plus Reese's Book Club. This is when we talk about this is definitely something that makes perfect sense for the Hyatt Under Canvas brand. Now, if you're not aware, we saw a push for the outdoor lodging kind of aspect from all of the brands. And so Hyatt's Under Canvas is basically settings that are near national monuments and national parks in different parts around the country. They have now worked out a Camp Unwritten experience that you can find under the Hyatt Find program. So these experiences have limited availability. It's for a 2-night stay for either 1 or 2 people. And basically, the Reese's Book Club, they're going to have writers, authors that will be out there with you right under the stars doing Q&A. And so I think this is a really nice touch. They're doing s'mores and everything you would expect for that kind of outdoor setting. So once again, it's for 1 or 2 people, fireside conversation and s'mores, an intimate Q&A because it's limited, a literary inspired menu. And as far as the cost, 1 person, $1,200 or almost 86,000 Hyatt points, or 2 people at $2,000 for just under 143,000 points. So the ones that they have right now is July 14th through the 16th at the Under Canvas Columbia River Gorge, and that's with Alexine Farrell Falmouth, and that she is the writer of 12th Night. Then you have the Under Canvas at Great Smoky Mountains on July 28th through the 30th, and that's Ali Condi, who's the writer of The Unwedding. And then lastly, for now at least, Ulam Moab, August 19th through the 21st. They have not named who the author is, so it is still a mystery author. But you can be able, if you're interested, you can book this on Hyatt's Find program. And then let's talk about global entry with an upgrade. Let's see. Boy, is back. Oh, I see Matt said, I don't trust airlines that solely fly ATRs. We all have to have our limit of what we're willing to accept. I agree with you, Matt. Global entry upgrade. So we have seamless border entry. This is a system that is essentially auto capture technology. You essentially do not even stop walking when you get into the immigration area, and it's supposed to auto capture your face as a scan. This is still in the pilot phase, but what they're trying to do is they have not identified a vendor to partner with to expand the program. So it's kind of stuck into this pilot stage until they do that. Now, this advancement appears to have ended the original eGate plan that we heard about, a few months back. And the eGate basically involved you using your mobile app, going through an eGate, your photo was taken, and you were then allowed to go through the gate. Now, the current airports with the SBE is Chicago O'Hare, Houston, LAX, Newark, Toronto, where travelers are cleared prior to returning to the US, and then Dulles. Um, I think it's interesting, and I'll be interested of what you all's thoughts are if you've used Global Entry. Um, my experience of just going through Global Entry, I mean, I'm all for something being faster, but I literally I didn't wait long at all. As I've said in probably a couple of videos, I spent more time walking from the plane to immigration than I actually spent in immigration with Global Entry. Absolutely swear by it for when I'm coming back from getting back to the country. So I'm all for this if it's quicker, but I think we're going to be a long way out if they haven't even been able to identify a partner that they can be able to do this with. And then let's talk about Virgin All-Inclusive Safari Camp. Now, this goes back to that 25% transfer bonus that can help you here. I think this is their kind of first go round. I've not heard about Virgin being involved with safari camps. This may not be. Be interested if you all have heard about it. But I think I find this pretty interesting. So this is for Finch Haddons, which is an all-inclusive safari camp in Kenya. And during the peak season, which is this year, they have between June through September, it would normally be 190,000 points per night of Virgin points. And the cash rate is $2,500 per night. Now it is at a reduced price of 125,000 points per night. And if you were doing the 25% bonus transfer, you can now bring it down to 100,000 points per night. Now, the bookings do have to be made by June 30th, which kind of throws in with that Chase transfer. Now, this is through Virgin Red, which, if you're not familiar with it, is just an offshoot of Virgin Atlantic. And once you establish a Virgin Red account, you can move points between Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Red. You don't have to accumulate any new points. You can just move them around. Now, you do have to get to Finch Haddons at that price does not include you getting there. And so it appears to be that the recommended way you get there is that you fly into Wilson Airport in Nairobi, and then you take a charter flight to Finch Haddons, such as Safari Link, and they do round trip for $425. So that is kind of what goes with it. Now, what is included? You get a luxury tent, all meals, all drinks, including alcohol. You're going to have a twice daily game drive, and they appear to be known for their red elephants, as well as buffalo, giraffes, cheetahs, lions, leopards, wildebeest, oryx, and hartebeest. I've not heard of those last two. Be interested if you all are aware of those two animals, not one I'm aware of. And also over 500 recorded species for bird lovers. And then it will include transfer to and from the Finch Haddons private airstrip for that. So if you were interested, we've seen a few cases of these safari camps kind of come up. Once again, this is the first one I've seen with Virgin. It's definitely something on my list that I would really like to do. If I'm going to go do that kind of thing, to have a little bit of luxury to it. But if you all have done that, I'd be interested in hearing what your experience of it was also. So I appreciate it. Let's see. Mad Skills, appreciate you stopping in, sir. Really appreciate it, and appreciating the chat. You chatting on the videos. Really good to talk with you on things. And then John said, Global Entry rocks it blows my mind. Yeah, especially you coming back in from Iceland a few times. It's thank goodness that credit cards. There's so many credit cards that will throw that $120 credit in for you to be able to use it. It is a lifesaver. And Fashion Forward Safari is definitely on my bucket list. Yeah, I completely agree, Fashion Forward. And there's so many of them. I'm just happy to see that we see more of these with opportunities to do them for points, and be able to do that and be able to further extend out what we're doing with this points and miles game. And I see Oryx is an amazing animal and tastes great. I work for Game and Fish and Game. Okay, appreciate it in New Mexico. Well, thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad you did. this was, once again, new one for me. So it's always good to be able to share and find out what you all know more than I do. Let's talk about some new hotels opening and coming. I like to do this each week because I think it's always good for when we accumulate these points and miles with all the hard work we do and using hopefully just our everyday spend on this to be able to find new places that we might want to go spend those points and miles. And there's a few up here that I definitely am considering. So we're going to start with all-inclusive resorts. So Secrets is part of Hyatt. And once Hyatt bought up Apple Vacations, they now basically have, and I'm doing a rough guess, 6 or 7 different brands of all-inclusives, all the way from starter, some very low price ones just for you to get into one, all the way up to Zilara and Ziva. And I'm talking about that you're going from anywhere from 20,000, I think you can even get into the teens, 16, 18,000 points for a couple of those, all the way up to over 58,000 points a night for a Zilara. So Secrets is a nice little spot, and they've got 2 new openings. So they have an all-inclusive resort that is now in St. Lucia on Chalk Bay, 355 suites, 9 restaurants, tennis, pickleball courts, and then, of course, any non-motorized water items, windsurfing, sailboats, kayaks, all-inclusive. Now, the cash rate starts at $449 per night for 2 guests. This is a category C, so low season, 21,000 points per night, 25,000 points per night during the norm, and 29,000 on peak. I say that because even if you just got obviously you can be able to transfer build points now, you've got Chase points, and then even if you're doing a welcome bonus offer on a Hyatt card, a 60,000 point welcome bonus is getting you 2 to 3 nights and an all-inclusive. And I'm a person that absolutely loves them, loves Hyatt's variety of them, to really where it just takes a lot of stress off your mind of what money you've got, where do you have. I think the days of early on where you were concerned about the food quality and the different type of amenities, that still exists, don't get me wrong. But there are so many places that you can have a very good experience, all-inclusive, whether it is an adult all-inclusive like Secrets, or if you were looking at Breezes, or you were looking at Ziva for Hyatt. A lot of options. You can get a lot of bang for your buck. The other one is Secrets Baby Beach Aruba. Now, Baby Beach is a big deal, really nice area of Aruba. 304 suites, 4 restaurants, 6 bars and lounges, 3 pools, and a spa. Now, the cash rates on this one is going to start at $800 per night for 2 guests, but it's a category D, and you're only, I say only, bear with me on saying that, when I see $800 per night, 25,000 points, 30,000 points, or 35,000 points as a category D. Now, even though it is open, there really doesn't seem to be any availability showing up, at least the last time I looked, until 2026. And then it is starting at the 30,000 point mark. You can see images for both of these, as you can imagine, beautiful settings. So I throw that as the all-inclusive resort portion of our day today. And then we have La Concha Resort. Now, this is in San Juan. They actually just had a little over an $80 million renovation. And once that got completed, La Concha Resort now has joined Marriott Bonvoy. And so now it's considered La Concha Resort Puerto Rico, and it's an autograph collection hotel. The resort is right off of Condado Beach, 238 rooms and suites. Amenities include a spa that'll be open later this year, a casino, and it has the first Bet MGM sportsbook there in San Juan. Now, the starting cash rates is $309 per night. Points, you're going to be looking at 50,000 Marriott points on weekdays, 75,000 points on weekends. So I know there's from looking at different comments, there's been people that have gone to that and really did like that resort. So hopefully the renovation is a plus. And then of course, it falling under Marriott definitely does not hurt. And then I've seen a lot of people talk about this now being open, the JW Marriott Crete in Greece, of course. And this is located in Marathia Beach, I believe it's pronounced. Only 160 guest rooms, suites, and villas, all with views of the Aegean Sea. Several rooms actually have private pools. I'm assuming it's more plunge pools, but take that for what it's worth. 6 restaurants. They will all use what's the JW Garden. Now, I've not stayed at a JW Marriott before, and I'll be curious if you all have. In the JW Garden is basically homegrown herbs and vegetables that they will use in all of the restaurants. 4 pools, full service spa. The cash rates start at $325 per night during the fall, and in July it jumps up to $650. Now the starting rate for this one is 44,000 Marriott points. Beautiful setting off of the Aegean Sea. Definitely not a bad place to spend your time and your money at. So that's what we have for that one. So now let's move to Chase Sapphire Reserve and Sapphire Business. I know that many you probably have seen many different one of us content creators do videos. I've done my one for this as well. But let's talk about some things as we seem to be kind of narrowing on to this happening. Let's touch on what the rumors have been. So for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, annual fee going from $550 to $795. Hotel and rental cars through Chase Travel being reduced from 10x to 8x. Flights through Chase Travel going up from 5x to 8x. Flights booked directly through the airline going up from 3x to 4x. And then other travel, 3x to 1x. A couple of things obviously come to mind. The other travel is something that a lot of people have enjoyed. I'm not a reserve card holder yet at this point. I'm still finishing up the 4-year mark since having the Sapphire Preferred. My time ends in August, and so does my wife's. So I'm really curious of when this will go and how long it'll go, because I probably would like, she'll have a better shot at getting it than me. So I will let her do that. But losing the other travel has just been kind of something that everybody's kind of enjoyed. I'm not surprised of them going, if they do. I think that rumor makes sense, 3x to 1x. You might tick off a few people, obviously, but I don't think enough to put them out of the game. Obviously, that annual fee is hefty. We're going to talk about the credits that may go with it, that I think that if they do it as is, I think that it makes this very doable. And I think a lot of people can be able to even make back that $795 in a lot of cases. I think the adjustment from the 10x to 8x on the hotels and rental cars, I think that is a thing where they matched up with Capital One's Venture X. And now that they are looking to kind of be more going towards the American Express Platinum, they can drop down to 8x and easily make it work and still be beat out the American Express Platinum on that and still be close enough to the Capital One Venture X. And then 3x to 4x on the booking directly through the airline makes perfect sense for them as well. So I think it's just a rebalancing of what they're going to be able to do. Now, as far as the credits, $25 per month for DoorDash, $120 DoorDash Pass credit, $10 per month for Lyft, $10 per month for Peloton, $250 twice annually for The Edit, $150 twice annual dining credit for Sapphire Reserve tables, $150 twice annual for StubHub, and $250 Apple TV and Apple Music credit. My thing with this is, if they did not go American Express enough, if this is what they do, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I am all for it. I think it just makes it easier to make back the money. I'm not a DoorDash person, but but if you are, that Dash Pass credit and the DoorDash credit, I think can really work for a lot of people if you do it. The $10 a month, yeah, I think we're all kind of used to it if you dealt with American Express as well. The Peloton, they've been trying to do something with Peloton, make that profitable for God knows how long, and that continues. Now, the edit is going to be an interesting one. And I say that because I understand that the edit seems to be more high priced than the Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts. But what I would end up saying with that, at least what I'm seeing with it, is the fact that, and I've said this before in a couple of my videos, I use the Fine Hotel and Resorts every time I go to Vegas. My wife gets one night, I get one night. We still pay money afterwards, but it takes a very luxurious resort room to a realistic regular room price. Now, if I was not a person that went to Vegas once a year, then I don't know if I would fully utilize the Fine Hotel and Resorts one, because I'd have to be concerned about how high it got. I think there's that issue with edit, but I've seen some other ones, seen some different possibilities where they're not off the chart. I think I saw something for the Hyatt Vendôme in Paris, which was realistic. Once you figure in a potential credit, and then of course the benefits that are like an Amex Fine Hotel and Resorts. If they did that edit credit twice a year, then now it obviously has the potential, has the potential to beat the Amex Fine Hotel and Resorts, because you only get that $200 hotel credit once. If they do it twice a year, and you can find just one or two a year spots where that thing will help, that's $500, and that gets you a long ways to get where you need to go. The Sapphire reserve tables, not something for me necessarily, but I know that there's a lot of people that go out, and especially if you might be in some major cities, that could be something to work. And once again, better than an Amex coupon book, where it would normally be something quarterly, where they don't want to let you basically be able to pay a full meal. If they do it twice annually at $150, you're going to be able to pay for most meals, or a large portion of it, which I think makes the experience much better. $150 for StubHub. I'm not a person that goes to games or use StubHub, but if you're letting me have $150 twice a year, and if you possibly don't, will they require a minimum? Is it truly going to be twice a year? That has potential to do something. Same thing for Apple TV and Apple Music credit. That seems like a perfect Amex coupon book way to give you $10, $15, $20 a month. I'll be interested to see if they do that or not. Then if you're going to spend $75,000 a year, you'll get a $500 Southwest credit. You'll get Southwest A-list status, IHG Diamond status, and $250 at the shops. This is not surprising. This whole $75,000 number seems to be the kind of trigger that we've seen on a lot of different cards for different things. We've seen it with Amex Platinum, of being able to use that to get more free access to the lounge and bring a person. They had to use Southwest, and they had to use IHG. Co-branded card with Chase, United was going through such an overhaul that they were not likely to do a credit or give status. With Southwest going away from the cattle call kind of situation, this makes sense, where if you are a spender of $75,000, God bless you. But if you're going to do it, Southwest might become a little bit more in your wheelhouse than it used to be. IHG Diamond status, they have to do something, but there's not much of a difference between IHG Diamond and the IHG Platinum that you get with the IHG Premier card. But once again, Every little bit helps. And then the shops credit, I don't know. I've heard about it. If you're a high spender, then it's probably something that works, but it's not something that fits for me. But we're seeing a lot of credits, if it plays out this way, that you can make this back. Now, of course, the elephant in the room is the $300 travel credit. Because if they keep that, that is an absolute slam dunk that, at least for me, I'd get the card. Obviously, the biggest drawback of this is that the lounge access, that you're paying a super premium price and you still only have access to Priority Pass and the Chase Sapphire lounges. I've not been to one. I've obviously seen excellent reviews of it, but there's still too few of them, and it's going to take them a while to build it out. But you do credits like this, I would even consider, as scary as it is for me to say this, I would consider having this card and the Amex Platinum card. I'm saying that off the cuff based upon these numbers. The devil's always going to be in the details, but I could see myself having both cards. And I don't say that, I say that with a lot of pause because you're talking about a lot of money. But we're going to have to see what these credits look like. But let me touch on, so I'm curious of what you all's thoughts are on this. So let me kind of pop back down here and catch back up. So Fashion Forward had said that other travel consisted of rideshare, taxis, parking, and tolls, if I'm not mistaken. You are right. It was the wide open area for everything from ferries and everything else that kind of fell into that. Yes, the Amex Green Card is has that same category. You are exactly right, Fashion Forward. Matt says Chase has been adding hotel programs into the portal for elite nights and having status reflected, which is potentially huge. I agree with that. And outside of the edit, yes, definitely outside of the edit. And agree there should have included 1 or 2 premium credits to better compete with the Amex. Yeah, I think though is that if they can kind of thread the needle where they are becoming a little bit more like Amex's coupon book, but don't go all the way to where it is a monthly type of credit that you have to try to remember, or that it's the table at that $150, but it's $20 or it's $75 a quarter. I think that people will appreciate that. There was one person that did a comment on my video about the American Express Gold Card. And he talked about the fact that how much he felt that Amex Platinum has lost for the person that has been with them for a long time, and how highly regarded the Amex Platinum was to what it is now. And I completely agreed with him. And even though I don't have as much history as he did, whereas now for most of us, what do we end up saying? If you want a premium credit card, one of the easiest credit cards to get is the Amex Platinum. That's not what it used to be. And I thought that was a very good accounting of him in regards to it. So I say that. And Sledge, appreciate you stopping in, sir. Always glad to have you. Thanks so much. And Rodrigo, car rentals, Airbnbs, and Expedias as well. Yeah, not sure. Yeah, I don't know about the Expedia one. I think that you make a good point with that, Rodrigo. I'm not totally sure about that. And yeah, an OTA. Okay. Let me keep going. Vincent ended up saying, I'm wondering whether Chase will let you product change your in cash unlimited preferred to the new business Sapphire. That is for people for 524 or can't meet a likely high minimum spend. That's a good question. I'm actually voting that they won't. I think they want to see how much they can drum up of brand new card holders. But I also have a thought about that 524 thing. Once again, personal opinion, so we'll leave it at that. Tim says, for the edit credit, I'd probably try a bottle of wine. Thank you for chiming in with that, Tim. John says the new CSR is a hard sell for me personally. If these credits, etc., are true, it adds too much friction to my setup. I was already using most of the services and products that come with Amex, and that is what they're hoping to do, is to create enough friction for you, John, and for others like us that might have some Amex cards that are willing to say, if I'm going to spend $700 or $700 plus on one card, you want to have our card, not Amex's card. They can't compete on the lounges, so it is imperative that they beat them up on the credits. And maybe this is something that they will be able to do. Stacy's Travel Points, I think I'm downgrading before it comes out, and I'm due for a new CSR. Don't want to pay the annual fee on it twice. Annual fee due next month currently for me. Yeah, that timing is very interesting. There's some talk that we're supposed to hear something on this like June 17th, I've heard. There was one rumor that said that this will all kind of take effect and happen before the end of June. Someone speculated originally it was going to be in early July. So the dates are all over the place. I don't think they're going to have this go on too long. I don't know if it'll be this month, but I think that once they've kind of owned putting this out for the summer, summer 2025, I think it is end of this month, maybe by the 4th of July. I don't think it gets that much further than that. But I'm going to kind of put myself out on that limb for that. So hopefully they will do that before you have to make any certain moves on that, Stacy. But thanks for the thoughts on that. And Matt, other travel for me is covered by my Wells Autograph. Yep, that's another card that will do that. John says, before I became a customer, so it was natural, but I know a lot of people will get a lot of value from those CSR changes if true. Yeah, it's definitely something that we're going to have to all be thinking about. $800 for maybe a couple of Sapphire visits a year, no thanks. If I lived in New York City area, it could be definitely a different story. Yeah, this is clearly a card you are not getting for the Sapphire Lounge. Not at $800, not at $795. You're getting that card, and the lounge is like letter C or letter D of all of the list of why you're doing it. They know that, and I think that's why they are seemingly going over the top on the credits if it comes out as is. And Rodrigo says the $150 semi-annual Sapphire reserve table credit plus the $300 travel credit sounds too good to be true. I wonder if they'll add in some terms, crossing my fingers not. Yeah, as I said before, if this comes out as it is, it's not even going to be a matter where someone has to be very savvy to get value out of this card. And I think that's what's really interesting about what at least they've thrown out there. Many people, if they take some time and calculate their numbers, I think there's going to be some people that are going to be heavy StubHub people, heavy Apple people that don't need to deal with the edit or don't have to deal with the reserve table. And I think they are hitting so many different pressure points of a lot of different people that I think it's going to be a big deal for many people on that. So I agree, Rodrigo, it's going to be all about the terms where they can definitely make this just like an Amex coupon book. But if they're trying to stay just a little bit more elevated than that, then this may be the shot for them in the freedoms. Adam Ritz Card is the best lounge access. Now, I'm a person that definitely, although I haven't started the journey of getting that Ritz card, I don't know if I think that's an interesting thought, Adam. I think that it is great to be able to use at the Sapphire and the freedom of the amount of people that you can bring with you. That's going to be an interesting one. I am really, really, really a fond person of Amex in the Platinum. Being able to get to the Delta Sky Clubs, being able to do enough Centurion lounges. But I'm definitely up for to be challenged on that. And I will definitely say I have to take my time before seeing what's going on with the Ritz card. I'm looking forward to beginning that journey and getting there. And Matt said the Sapphire, Ink Preferred, and Freedoms were left out of the Instacart updates that occurred at the beginning of May-ish. Yeah, they were, and I'm glad you pointed that out. Adam Connolly, it's next. And unlimited authorized users. Yeah. And I don't think that they'll have to change that. I agree with you, Adam. If you're looking to take care of multiple people, then there isn't a card that's better than that. I agree with that. And I wonder if it. And Matt says about it's for now. I'm curious. I wonder how many people are really aware of this Ritz card. And I don't know if it's maybe me thinking more of the echo chamber of doing this kind of stuff. As far as, it's a journey to get to that card. Having to get a Marriott card, having it for a year, making sure you got enough credit limit on it to bounce up to it. I would love to hear the numbers of people that really are aware of it and are working their way towards it versus the people that might be in this niche, this chamber. I think that they'll leave the Ritz card alone for a bit. I think if they wanted to crack down on that, they could have done that already when they started with the Chase Sapphire Lounge. But I throw that out to say, we'll see. John says Ritz doesn't getting me into my Sky Clubs or the Centurion Lounge, so that not a selling point for me on the Ritz card. And almost any card will give you priority pass access. Agreed. And I think that obviously the key to that is if you've got a family, if you're trying to take care of a lot of people, I think that the Ritz-Carlton card is a great card for it. But yes, as far as if you're not needing it for that, then the variety still lies with the Platinum. And then however, Amex gets the premium Marriott card. Yep, that's true too. Let me go over a couple of other things that come to my mind. The Chase Sapphire business card. I'm curious if it's going to have the 5% office supply stores. And once again, I've talked about this before. My wife has more of the Chase cards, and I've got more of the Amex cards. To me, if I go back to when I started out in this points and miles thing, the thing that was always kept that you had to whisper about it, don't talk too much about, and don't do too much spending on it, is going into the office supply stores and getting gift cards. And to me, if they, and that's obviously the huge thing of the Ink Cash cards, I'm curious that if they make that 5% office supply store on the Chase Sapphire business card, I think that they are announcing that we are okay with this, that we're putting it on our flagship business card. We know that's what you all do with those, with that office supply store, and we're going to be okay with it. Versus if they don't do it, I'm very curious to see how they handle that, because I think it will tell us a lot about them for that. I see that man says Chase wants to bring back the Ritz, but if they can, they change it a ton. Yeah, I think that Ritz card is going to stay pretty much as that card that becomes folklore, like we talk about. Best thing ever, all the different things you have on it, but you got to be able to go through the hoops to get there. So that's my curiosity about this Chase Sapphire business card. And then a couple things I'm looking for. Welcome bonus. 10 years ago, we obviously had 100,000 points. We've had 90,000 points on the Ink Cash. My educated guess is I think we're going to see at least 100,000 points on both the Sapphire Reserve and for the business card. I would not be surprised if they break it out into two parts. I think we're seeing a lot of credit cards now do two parts. And especially the business card, I could see them doing it in two parts. Maybe not so much the reserve. And that increased spend, maybe $5,000 on the personal, $8,000 on the business. I think they're going to have something there that the number is going to entice you. And I think 6 digits are going to happen to do that. And I don't think there's any way you can have less than 100,000 points on a $795 potential dollar card. And I don't think you can have less than 100,000 points on your namesake business card. So those are just my thoughts. I'm curious of what you all are looking for on welcome bonuses. 524 enforcement. So here was my thought about the 524 enforcement. The reason for enforcing it is that if they're expecting a lot of activity, a lot of people to go after these cards, then there's no reason to loosen it. There's enough business out there. The reason against it, well, with all the hype that will go around this thing, do they care that they risk negative buzz of people getting rejected due to 524? Don't know. Once again, might be my little echo chamber. My guess is I think it's going to be a hybrid. I think that there are going to be people that are active, good customers, and they will be able to get the cards with being over 524. That's just my belief. I think you won't know what it's going to take to get it, but I think we're going to hear somewhere along the line where we talk about different points to put our finger on. There's going to be people that are going to get these cards with being over 524. Now, probably not ridiculous 1024, but there's going to be people that are good customers to them that if they're just on the edge, maybe by 1 or 2, I think they're going to get the card. That's just my thought. Once again, curious of you all's thoughts on that 524 enforcement. Some thoughts about this. If you're a current holder of the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Reserve and you're close to your 4 years since the bonus, make sure to check when your 48-month mark will be. I'm in that situation. Both my wife and I got these Chase Sapphire Preferred cards in August of 21. So we're getting close to that 4-year mark and having to make a decision of what to do. I'm fearful, though, that we're going to miss this welcome bonus opportunity if it comes out when I think it is, end of this month, July 4th ballpark. But if you're close, make sure to check, do the work now, especially because it's a matter of when that bonus happened, not necessarily when you got the card. So if you need to check in with Chase, make sure to do it, get your ducks in order so that you don't make a choice of timing that screws anything up. And then if you have Chase business cards, determine, are you doing consistent spending on the cards? And if not, do you need to adjust? Once again, my wife has more of the business cards on Chase than I do. And that is what I'm looking back at right now, is there are business cards that we don't spend on. And we basically kind of made a run, got 2 or 3 Chasing Cashes, got a Preferred, got the Unlimited, and then recently got the Hyatt business card. I now need to kind of pay attention to having some steady spending on all of those cards to make sure that we kind of give ourselves the best chance of doing this, even though the window was a bit shorter than I expected. But I just kind of throw that out as a few examples of some things that you may want to look at in preparing for this. So just my thought on that. And I see Jamar, what do you think will happen with the CSP? Well, I think what's going to end up happening, and thanks for coming on, Jamar. My thought is, I think that when it comes to the 1.5 points in the portal for the Reserve and 1.25 on the Preferred, I do believe that is going to kind of fade. I don't know how they're going to necessarily do it so quick. I think that their talk of having different offers that will at times get you 2 points per dollar, or maybe slightly over 2 points per dollar, I think that's going to happen. And I think that if they think they're going to be able to do enough of that, where it's not niche, that it's not in just a certain brand in a certain town, but that it's a little bit more widespread, I think they are going to knock that down from that 1.5. I could see them take it down to 1. I wouldn't be shocked by it at all. And of course, if you take that down to 1, then you have to take the 1.25 down to something else. And so I do believe that the preferred will follow suit with their 1.25. Other than that, I don't think that we'll see too much change with it. I think that if they were really looking to do change with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, we would have seen something happen with that online grocery a long time ago. That has been something that has just been kind of an annoyance for people, whether they normally use it or don't use it. And you would have thought that what's the point of leaving it there? They don't care. They just literally do not care. I've definitely used the online grocery to do pickups and deliveries through my local store. I know that there's a lot of different people that have been able to say that they've been able to trigger it, doing it on an app with a couple of different stores and being able to do it in the store and get the same 3X on it. There's always going to be loopholes. But I don't think Chase Sapphire Preferred changes much other than that guaranteed value through the portal. Once again, they're going to have to be careful about that because all of these credit cards want you to go through their portal. That is a big deal for them. But I think that Chase might feel at this point, we might be able to kind of knock it down a little bit. So that's just my initial thought on that. And about that 524, I think it is. I just don't think that they're going to have business people that might be over 524 that use their business cards well and not let them get the Sapphire on the business side. I just don't believe they will. And I think they're more likely to be able to do that than to let you get the reserve. But I do believe good customer is still a good customer. And as long as you're not way over, I think it's going to end up, we're going to see some hybrid of that. So that's just my thought. And does the one Sapphire rule stay or go away? I think that it goes away as far as the business. I don't think there's any way that they end up telling us that you have to choose between a personal Sapphire and a business Sapphire. Don't see it happening. I do, then of course we have to talk about on the personal side. I think that still remains the same. You're only going to be have a preferred or reserve, but you're going to now be able to have a business and a personal one. They would literally be hurting themselves to do it any differently, in my opinion. So that is kind of my thoughts on that. And I really, really appreciate you all sharing your thoughts on this too. I've learned a lot on this too, so I really appreciate it. Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts that we need to touch on anything? As far as a couple things, I did put out the Alaska credit card today. I put out there was some additional of those credit card bonuses, so I put out a quickie video on that. I'm going to have a video on IHG's Premier card coming up shortly. And then I've actually working on, actually I finished it, but probably by the end of the weekend, a bargain airline card that I just thought I would go ahead and do just for giggles. But I think that it's going to be something that will hopefully help some people that will be looking at a bargain airline, a value airline, as I call it. So I will look forward to see what you all's thoughts are about that. Won't name the airline yet. But we'll have that out. So I cannot thank you all enough for everything. And John, yep, thanks. You really appreciate it. A very good question. And Stacy, thank you so much. We have definitely hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Really appreciate it. Helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to join as a member of the advisory board, please consider doing that. I'll make sure I have a link in the description after this. And basically, I do a live stream every week just for the members, and also kind of get information out to them that might be more timely on a couple of things. and talk with them and get their thoughts on things. So please consider doing that as well. And otherwise, can I thank you all enough? Great live stream. Really appreciate you all's participation on it, and look forward to talking with you all next week. And check out the videos coming up, and I will talk with you all soon.